Hey guys, welcome back to Invested. This question I'm feeling, it's right here too. So when does it get better? So my spouse entered CRE as a broker after the pandemic. It has been so hard. He works for a small boutique firm. He's a very naturally optimistic person, and he assures me that in 3 years, we'll undoubtedly be well off. He worked in sales before this, so he's great at networking, building relationship. I'm getting so tired of supporting us through this career switch. From what I've read, this is probably the worst time ever to be a broker. So please give it to me straight because I'm not sure if I can trust or believe in his optimism anymore. If he busts his ass and puts in the work, is success inevitable? He has 0 deals closing at this time, but he feels good about his connection and what's on the horizon. I oscillate between supporting him wholeheartedly and feeling like we're making the dumbest decision of our lives and feeling angry, terrified, resentful. It would be devastating for him to walk away at this point. So I'm to stay positive while we wait for things to come together, but don't want to be stupid. In 2022, first job was a bust. He had poor support. He's been at current gig 1 year and has closed 1 deal since being here. I thank you for that thoughtful question. And honestly, a lot of successful people in any industry, food and beverage, real estate, sales, whatever it may be, if you really look at them, they have very good support from their house, like their home, their kids, their wife. You can have the greatest idea, you can have the greatest job, but if you don't have support from home, it's really hard because I'm a guy. So if we had a great idea and there's a good business plan, there's going to be late hours. There's going to be, you call it sunk cost, but I'm going to say cost and time or resources that has an ROI in the future. It's not immediate, but you will have a payoff in the future. We don't know that's going to be 10x, 1x, or a bust. But we don't think about that. We do the things we do. And during those times, if there wasn't a support from your wife, your loved ones at home, and every time you go home and it's challenging, right? Because as a guy, you have this passion, I'm going to be able to do this. And when the result doesn't hit, and you go home, and even though they're smiling and saying everything's will be better, it's probably hitting them really hard too. So I think support is really good, but sometimes guys also need support with good criticism as well. Not to go too much into dynamics of marriage and spouse, going back into the CRA brokerage. People, you're right. It's going to be the toughest market. But I thought it was the toughest market in '08. You know how many people got laid off and during that time? It was probably for me in real estate, '08, '09, '10. Probably the hardest time in that career. And I think I thought about quitting so many times. I was like, man, with this so many hours, I can go get 2 jobs. I don't care if I worked at McDonald's and worked at another job or as a janitor. I could probably make more money or be less stressed. But I stuck with it. And at the time, I wasn't married. I didn't have a lot of obligation. I was still young. And that's a different factor, right? Because now the suffering is only me. It doesn't include my loved ones. So it's subjective. And this is why I think a lot of the young people should try new things while they're younger, without having the other obligation of a family, because family is a great thing, but once you start making a decision that's subjective, it may not be the best. So if you see in the industry for only a couple of years, there's a lot of catch up. Having optimism, I think that's a very good skill set to have, because in sales, brokerage, cars, insurance, whatever it may be, you don't want to be dealing with Debbie Downers as people that's just going to be doom and gloom like me, right? You want to be someone that's going to be positive, optimistic. But that's one skill set, but then he has to be technical skill set. So my question is, what is he doing about learning about real estate, commercial real estate? I'm not sure which asset class he's working on. Is it office? If it's office, it's a tough market, even within real estate. Now, if it's multifamily and it's in the capital market side of it, yeah, it's great. I mean, if you get the listing, you're good because there's a lot of still buyers out there for multifamily. Now, if you're tenant repping for industrial, office, retail, it's challenging. Even some of the brokers I have a good relationship with, and we kind of talk casually as well too. And there's a running joke. He's like, man, Charles, I got to work 10 times harder to make the same amount of money I made 4 years ago. And that's true. And there's a theory about the top 20% at the top really generates 80% of the revenue. And that's not even CRE. That's all different industry. I don't like to share too many names, but he's known really well. Like Kevin Shannon, he started his career at CBRE. Now he's at Newmark. But everyone knows him because he does the big deals. He's the one who's doing the $100 million deals, $300 million deals. So yes, he's going to make a lot of money because brokers get commission based on the aggregate, right? So If your husband's working with the team and doing a 5-year lease at 1,000 square foot tenant that's paying $3 a square foot, that's $3,000 per month, times that by 60 months, and they may get 4%. When they get 4% of that, he has to split with the house. And since he's a junior broker learning, the bigger cut will go to the senior persons, right? So in my opinion, it's how much work that they put in, and the hours, 100 hours they put in a week, may not see the fruit of that labor until 5, 6, 7 years on the line. Because you're going to be doing those smaller deals until you get to a level where you're recognized, people are referring you, you become a subject matter expert in that asset class or that region. Then I believe the good things are at the horizon. So I don't know what your financial situations. Of course, your husband can't be doing it for the next 10 years without any reward. So I think that's something that you and your husband have to sit down and really talk about it and see what the real logic is. Is it really 3 years? So if it's 3 years, think about it, 2022, 23, 24, 25. And let's say from even here, another 3 years, that's 2028. It's still going to be a tough market. We see the interest rate still going up. The Fed cut 50 bips. Now, the 10-year treasury still moved back up over, 4.2? So what that says, inflation is in the rising. So it's the cap rates that are not going to get compressed like 3 cap, like you have seen 4 years ago, 3 years ago. It's going to be more challenging to make those deals happen. Is there a brighter side? Yes. When? We don't know that. If everyone knew that, everyone will be filthy rich. So some people will say 2025, 2026. It's all speculation. And let me tell you one example. This is a real life case study. This individual group purchased a large multifamily asset, 300 unit plus. These are hundreds of millions of dollars. It was owned by Blackstone in 2019, and they purchased it from Blackstone. Everyone here probably know Blackstone. And they took a 2-year bridge financing from a fund at 80% leverage. And that made sense for them, right? Because they were speculating that in 2 years, by the time the loan is maturing, they believe the interest rate will be lower and they could refinance, but it didn't come to conclusion that way. So they had to recap that fund out and get a new loan, and they have to get gap financing, which is the bridge, because the loan proceeds is not going to be enough to meet that dollar amount to pay off the loan for the current lender. So we came in, we did some gap preferred equity financing, right? So we're going to get a pretty good return out of it. Assets strong, occupancy strong. So we don't know what the future entails. We have to make the right decision. So, I would say set benchmarks and goals. What do you want to do? You want to get 5 deals done by this year? What are you going to move on to? Set those goals together, not to argue, but to have organic discussion between you and your spouse. Can he make it? Things will get better? Absolutely, it can get better. Sometimes you need hard work, some opportunities, and some people will call it luck. I don't call it luck, but I call it a bridge that is provided because you work really hard. But some people could call it luck. So for the sake of conversation, let's call it luck. So you need skill set, a lot of hard work, and you need some luck. So if you have all those and you think you can get it and you trust your husband he can do that, then you should support him. But again, I know it's daunting when you have bills to pay and all these different things. So I'm not sure that's anything that you can use or that will help you. But I personally am here today because I have a very good supporting wife. I started my career is because I passed on an opportunity right before the pandemic. It was in downtown LA. It was a private equity firm. I'll be taking a role as a managing director of a fund. And I'm just talking about this. So I'll talk about salary. So essentially, like, my base salary would have been $350,000, guaranteed bonus for 2 years, 100% of my salary. So it'd be $600,000, $700,000 for 2 years. And starting the third year, I will get compensation carry based on the performance of the fund. So then, most private equity people work really for that promo, that waterfall, that the kicker you get for doing an excellent job. Because $300,000-$400,000 salary, it's great. And I'm not trying to be all rude and say that's not a lot of money, but you're looking for that $2 million, $3 million, $4 million payout on the bonus. But I was going to take that job, but what am I giving? Most likely, I probably wouldn't be able to spend time with my baby daughter at the time, ever. I'm probably sure with that money I could get nanny support, so my wife would have been fine, but probably wouldn't be able to spend time with my wife, family. So there's a lot of sacrifice I would have to give up. Then I think my wife told me this one thing, and where she goes, well, who cares about $1 million? You should go do what you want to do. Even though you make $50,000, I know you're going to make hundreds of millions. You'll be very successful. So you should do it now while you have the opportunity to do so. Because if you go to that fund, you stay, 5-7 years? Because you can't just live in the middle, because you're going to leave all that bonus on the table, right? It's a cycle. And by the time you do that, you'll be 50. Then you're going to go start your own company then? You may, but if you wanted to do that, why don't you start that now when we have the opportunity? And I think if that wasn't what my wife told me, I think I may have taken that job. And sure, I'm pretty sure our family would have been fine, get a lot of money, pay the bills, but I would have sacrificed a lot of different things. So it's a hard decision, but also at the same time, how successful your husband could be is going to be predicated on you as well too. And hopefully that information and that heartfelt thing for me to tell you was helpful. And if there's any personal questions after watching the video, DM us and we'll take a private, even a call or even anything. I would love to answer anything you may have personally just to help you out. If you found this content helpful, please follow, subscribe, and like. Thank you very much.